Well. So I was just talking to a new rider that was trying to buy one of my bikes, and we got to talking, and I gave him some advice as an experienced rider to a new rider, and I thought I would share it with you guys. And to my subscribers, I know I haven't posted a video in a long time. Unfortunately, the reality is I really had no intention of running YouTube as a business. I'm not interested in really being that was always my goal. That still remains my goal. So unfortunately, um, while I like helping people, unfortunately, I mean, I do have an actual job and I have to focus on that. And it's been a rough ride since the pandemic. So, with that being said, that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen me posted in quite a while, because I got to prioritize my actual career. And again, I have no interest in running a YouTube business. I want to share what Rider is. I really, first of all, my background in terms of my riding experience. I think I started riding motorcycles in 2006, and since 2006, and initially I was doing like 15,000 miles a year, easily. I was traveling all over the place. I was riding, right? I wasn't waiting on group rides and waiting on my friend to come out. I would ride because I love riding. I love bikes. I love being on the open road. It was never, I'm not a social rider. I'm not trying to hang out. I'm not looking, let's go try to pick up some girls or whatever it is. I was always, like I said in some of my previous videos, I bleed gasoline, right? So with that being said, been riding since about 2006. It's not 2025, believe it or not. I've only broken skin twice on a motorcycle, and that is, I've been on the racetrack. I've certainly ridden very fast. I've been as fast as 180 miles per hour in the desert. You guys remember that video I did? I think it was on the Hayabusa. Hayabusa! So, um, I definitely push things for sure. I love technical riding, so twisty roads, sharp turns, and things like that. And I love going fast. Yet I've only broken skin twice with all that riding, and I ride all year long, right? I spend a lot of time on the Northeast, so we have cold winters. I don't care. I have certain rules about winter. I made a video talking about that, and I'll make one in the future as well. But I have certain rules, but generally speaking, I will ride all year long, right? And with all that riding, I've ridden in storms, not snowstorms, but rainstorms. I'm talking about I rode in a rainstorm where the wind was blowing so hard. One of the techniques I used was I used an 18 wheeler as a shield. So I pretty much figured out the wind direction and put it so that the truck was upwind of me, and then I stayed to the side. Now, normally I would never be anywhere near an 18 wheeler for safety reasons, but in this situation, you kind of got to weigh your options, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna be in not the I'm gonna be in a more ideal situation than being blown around by the wind, right? But I'm gonna have to step up my safety in terms of this threat of this truck. Can this truck see me? It's really, really bad weather. I think it was almost kind of I think it was hail was coming down, because I remember it was getting hit hard. So I'm gonna be next to this truck where I normally would not want to be, but in order to do that, I'm gonna have to step up my alert level in terms of specifically addressing the threat of the truck not seeing me. So it's not just, oh, I'm gonna just ride next to the truck. It's no, I'm gonna ride next to the truck in a way that is going to be the safest for me. But with all that riding, storms, cold weather, you name it, I've ridden 98 degrees, There's techniques involved in all of that. I've ridden 3, 4, 5 hours. I mean, you name it. Only broken skin twice. And I think it's critical to understand how I broke skin twice, like what happened in those situations. Um, Number one was on the racetrack, Loudon was it Loudon, New Hampshire? Or was it Loudon racetrack? I don't remember. But I was on the SV650. I had just installed steel braided brake lines myself. I don't know if I made a mistake or not, but I was braking at the end of the straight, so I'm doing triple digits. And I remember at that time I was focused on, enhancing some of my skills, progressive braking, so I knew what I was doing. Right? I didn't just grab onto the brakes, whatever. I used the proper technique where you do that initial squeeze, where basically you allow the suspension to settle, because the time that you first start squeezing the brake, basically what's going to happen is the bike is going to want to start to squat a little bit, and that's going to compress the suspension. And now you have the suspension is ready for full effect. So as opposed to if I were 120 miles per hour and I just grabbed onto the brakes rapidly at that top level of the suspension, because I'm just riding full speed flat out, right? So suspension is going to be pretty much extended, right? So it's going to be softest at that point, right? So that means if I brake really hard, there's not going to be a lot of resistance at all initially. So you're going to be able to build up a lot of momentum, initial momentum. As soon as you clamp on the brakes, the bike is going to heading forward, and it's going to do it very, very fast. And you can easily overwhelm your suspension such that you compress the suspension so much that there's not much suspension travel left, which takes away from your traction, right? So progressive braking. You start the initial squeeze, and then that just lets the brake start to bite a little bit, right? And then you start doing a slow rotation. You squat just a little bit. That little bit of squatting puts your suspension in a much more firm position, such that now you can progressively start, squeezing harder and harder and harder, and there's more resistance, such that when you get to maximum braking, you still have a decent amount of suspension travel. Right? That wouldn't happen if you went so fast because you just grab the brakes and then the bike just does like this, and that's how people can crash, right? So I knew that this was a specific time in my career where I was focused on that, but somehow I don't know what happened. I did the braking, and the next thing I know, I'm looking behind me and I'm seeing my bike, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I guess I've crashed. Like, that's literally how it happened. It was so fast. 1 minute I'm riding the bike, next minute I'm literally analyzing the situation. I was like, there's my bike, there's the side of the track going by, and I'm just like, oh, I guess I crashed, right? So anyway, long story short, the only injury that I had, and actually technically I only broke skin once, because I didn't break skin this time, I don't think. What happened was, there was an injury though. That's why I mentioned it. My what is it? Stingray, my gloves, the Stingray skin did its job, and the gloves did not tear, did not break down, but I was sliding so fast that the heat transfer to my finger caused a blister. So think about that. The gloves did not tear. The gloves held up, but I was sliding so fast that the heat was so much that I was able to burn one of my fingers. I had like a heat blister, and that was it. I think I was fully geared up. I had my Alpine Stars jacket. I had the armor inserts in there. I also had the Icon vest underneath that as well. And I got my money's worth with the gloves that I had on and everything I had on. And I actually was able to ride 5 hours home after that on the same bike, because the bike wasn't even that much damage. My sliders did their jobs. So that was the one sort of injury. The other injury since 2006 was I was taking off my what's a blind spot mirror on the bike. It was an SB650 again. I was taking it off, trying to, I don't know what, I was trying to take it off, and then the mirror cracked, and then it cut me on my fingers. I kid you not. Riding since 2006, 180 miles per hour, rain, storm, winter, in the desert, in Italy, in the mountains, chasing Lamborghinis. I've done it all, and I've had a blast. And these are the only two injuries. And I am not, anyone who knows me knows I'm not, luck is never on my side. Whatever I get out of life is always hard work, because I'm the guy who always has the most bizarre things happen to. It's never luck for me. So had is a testament to the way that I think of riding. And that technique, that philosophy is informing my advice to rider thinking about getting into the sport. I think as a new rider sport, it's okay. You're gonna want to have like some riding buddies. You're gonna want to hear this sport with others. Unfortunately, a lot of those people that you are talking to, your friends, your buddies, what they're doing bad techniques. They're doing dangerous things. If they haven't crashed already, they're going to crash soon. And it's just a hard reality. And listen, I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. I'm here to give you the raw truth, right? I'm gonna tell you like it is. Right? The reality is, a lot of those riders, it's just a matter of time, right? And I think the key thing that they're missing, that I look at when I say I separate my riding experience versus theirs, a key difference is that the way that I look at riding motorcycles, I look at it as somewhat of a profession. I think that because we don't have a cage, right? With just two wheels, we cannot have the mentality of people in cars. Cars, yes, it can be dangerous as well, but cars can be casual, right? Just a regular person who doesn't have any interest in motorsports or whatever, you can just buy a Toyota Corolla, right? And you shouldn't be doing these things, but if you want to go and be texting and driving, which you shouldn't do, you can get away with it, right? If you don't want to spend the time to learn about driving dynamics and different things, you don't have to, right? Drive the speed limit, take it easy. You'll be all right. You driving around a corner and there's a little bit of sand or dirt. You got 4 tires. You got traction control. You're gonna be all right, unless you're going crazy. In most situations, the road is designed in a way to keep you safe. The way that the turns are banked, a lot of the construction of the roads that we're on, they're designed to keep you safe. So if you're driving a car, you can drive it casually, right? I believe you cannot be a casual biker. That is a core fundamental difference in the way that I see riding motorcycles compared to your average rider, right? I do not see riding motorcycles as a casual thing. I feel that every responsible rider is a professional rider. So the same way, imagine if you are you're gonna get into motorcycle racing, right? You're not gonna casually just like, oh yeah, whatever. No, you're gonna study it. You're gonna practice all the time. You're gonna be attention about what you're doing. You're constantly growing and constantly trying to improve your different skills. That is how a professional racer would be. And I think people who ride motorcycles need to have at least some level of that mindset. Why? Because you can't afford to fail, right? If you make a mistake, you go around that corner. The lady in the Corolla who goes around the corner, hits that sand, and maybe the car skids a little bit. Maybe she notices, maybe she doesn't. She probably gonna be all right. You are gonna go off the cliff, right? And that might be your last ride. I don't want to scare you, because again, look at my experience. Most riders are not gonna be doing what I was doing, right? all year long and all that kind of stuff. I put myself in a more extreme circumstance in terms of my riding, and yet look at my safety record. So if you are anywhere near an average rider and you have this kind of mentality, can you imagine what it's going to be like for you? If I was okay with this thought process, then I think you're going to be all right. There's no need for you to be terrified. I know you can be a little bit nervous when you're starting out. I'll tell you, when I was first getting into riding, I'll tell you what my I'm gonna flip over this, and that was my thing, man. I was always worried about that. So it's like being a new rider. I know you can have these fears and things like that, but the thing about it is, if you take it as a profession, I don't want to make it sound boring. Listen, man, it hasn't been boring for me. I love riding. It's exciting. It gets my blood rushing. It's fun. I have had a lot of fun, right? I think the analogy I like to use is it's kind of like crossing the road, right? When I cross the road, just like they taught me in Sesame Street, I look both ways, right? Look both ways before crossing the street. When I'm crossing the street, I'm not, oh man, car might hit me. No, I'm chilling, man. I might be listening to my music, enjoying the weather or whatever, but I'm mindful. I don't just like wander across the street. I take a second to look right, look left, and then I cross. That is how I ride my motorcycle, right? I'm not on the bike all like, oh my goodness, somebody's gonna hit me. I gotta. No, but I'm alert. I'm aware. I have also trained my muscle memory, so a lot of what I do comes automatically. So it's not like I'm stressing or whatever. It's through habit. Checking the mirrors, doing your head checks, looking around. Different techniques. Preemptive braking. One of the analogy I like to use is part of my riding. I try to simulate, Mercedes-Benz or BMW advanced safety technology, where they have things where the car will constantly be scanning for potential obstacles, and maybe it has a sensor where it can recognize a person. So somebody starts crossing in front of the car, and maybe you're not noticing. The car sees it, and then the car can, like, I think it's pre-braking or something like that, so it can actually start braking ahead of time, maybe not aggressively, but actually start the braking. So by the time you maybe notice it, the braking has already started, so basically you can avoid hitting that person. But I do that. I simulate that technology in terms of how I ride. So anticipating, looking at a driver who is constantly like, swerving back and forth. I see their head like this. Somebody lost. They're looking for their turn. They're about to do something erratic, right? A typical rider may not pick up on that, right? They just doing their own thing, having their fun with their bike. Look at me and my cool bike, whatever. And all of a sudden, oh, this guy, he caught in front of me. Son of a gun, blah, blah, blah. Do you see me, bro? And they get all mad and angry. It's kind of like, listen, man. Yes, that person screwed up, but ultimately, any rider knows that you have to ride for everybody else. It's like you have to take responsibility for everybody on the road, because you're the one that loses. You got no cage, you got no airbags, right? You will always lose, right? So you can't afford to be like, you should be paying attention. Yeah, they should be paying attention, but ultimately, as a rider, that is a responsibility that you're taking up, that you are in a losing situation when it comes to an accident. So you have to be the one to identify that problematic driver, right? And then preemptively be able to change lanes, slow down, pass them, but get away from the threat. These are the types of things that I've done for so many years that have kept me safe on the road. So ultimately, one of the biggest pieces of advice for a rider is to enjoy riding, have fun with it, but treat it with respect. Become a professional biker. Don't become a casual rider, a social rider. If you're looking for something you like, going fast or whatever it is, having fun on the road, if you want to just be casual, you're not a guy like me. Somebody look at me, I'm uptight. I'm a veteran, I'm a military veteran. I'm like extreme sports, and I'm all like, if you're not that type of person, you just want to chill and relax, a motorcycle experience, but don't get on a motorcycle trying to be casual. I'm sorry, it's not a casual sport. The stakes are too high. You don't have to be all nervous or whatever. You can have a long riding career, long safe riding career, but in order to do that, I think you need to have the right mentality. Now, obviously, there's people who've been reckless and they got lucky, and they might say, "Well, I'm fine," right? But they're in a minority, right? The type of riders that have long, safe riding careers have a different mindset. So my biggest advice to you is to make sure you have the right mindset coming into this sport, and be a professional rider. Don't be a casual rider. That's not the way to go, right? Be a professional. Take it very seriously. Get the right gear. Always keep practicing. Don't get to the point where, okay, I know how to ride now. I've been riding since 2006. I still practice my safety techniques. I'm still trying to be a better rider, right? This is a lifetime journey, right? You're never going to get to the point. Listen, the professional riders that you guys like to watch that race, you watch them on TV. Those guys are still learning, man. They're still working on their braking techniques and different things, trying to get faster lap times, trying to, work it out. They are still learning, and they are way better than you or I. So the idea that you could just practice for a few months or even a year or two and then I'm good. No, man, it's a constant learning process. You got to constantly be learning, constantly recognizing what your weaknesses are, and work on this thing, and you get really good at that thing and work on something else. And it's a constant journey, man, and it's fun. I love it. And I wish you guys all the best. I hope you have a nice, safe riding career. Just be very mindful of bad advice and bad company. Be very careful about who you choose to ride with, by the way. That's something else I've done. Be very careful. There's a lot of dangerous riders out there who don't know what they're doing, who are not taking it seriously, and you got to be on the lookout for those people. I'm not saying be antisocial, but you definitely need to be on the alert, not just for the cagers, but also for other bikers, because those other bikers will get you killed, or in some cases, they will literally kill you. This is Your Fast Life. Just giving some advice to new riders, and I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time. If you find this video helpful, click on the like button, share it with a new rider that you know, and I wish you guys well. I wish you well.